Now then, as is often the case with statistics, the following might seem somewhat contradictory. More people in the UK are in work than at any time since records began 46 years ago. But there are also more people without anywhere permanent to live. Now, analysts say the continued fall in the value of earnings and cuts to housing benefit are two reasons why both could be true. Our correspondent, Rebecca Williams, reports.
Finally, Lee has found a home, albeit a temporary one, in this shipping container. For weeks he'd been sleeping rough here in Bristol, unable to afford rent. And he's not alone. Figures today show not only a rise in homelessness, but also in the number of people living in temporary accommodation.
Just the rents, I mean, especially in Bristol, I mean, the plan was for me to rent a room, but the rent, it was just, I don't know, it's just too expensive to even think about trying to save for a deposit.
Even though the employment rate in England has risen to a new record high of 75.3%, earnings have gone down 0.4%. And for those on the fringes, it's affected their housing options. The number of households living in temporary accommodation has gone up 7.2% in the last year. And 9% of those households are actually in paid employment.
Lots of homeless families do have wages coming in, that's right, but the cost of housing is so astronomical and increasing all the time. And as a society, we did have a safety net in place so that people shouldn't be falling through this gap. But since that safety net was effectively taken away by the government, we've got more and more families with children living in completely unsuitable circumstances.
In Bristol's trendy Southville, lining the leafy river, are people sleeping rough in tents. Homelessness here, like in many other big cities, is a serious issue. And in a week, when the pay cap has been lifted for some public sector employees, many other workers up and down the country, like Kaylee, are having to look for cheaper alternative accommodation. She's an artist and is now a property guardian, who pays a lower rent to live in this disused building in central London.
The high rent price I was paying at my old place before I quit my job actually was one of the factors that, one of the reasons that I did quit my job. I was putting away 2/3 of my salary every month on my rent down here, and I found I had very little at the end of the month to live on, and I just wasn't living that London dream that I'd kind of hoped for myself.
It seems that even those with jobs are now struggling to pay ever-increasing rents. The government insists it is doing all it can to tackle homelessness by helping the most vulnerable in society. Rebecca Williams, Sky News in Bristol.